Hi Hassan, hi Lisa. Happy to see you every week again. I have a question. Seeing that there is no free will at first was so much freeing and liberating for me, but after a while it changed to excuses for ego in situations that it is uncomfortable and sometimes makes me to feel I am unable to act because everything is predestined and I feel stuck and bored. Would you suggest me something? Thank you. Hey Hassan, this question is on the personality level, and that's a lot more complex, and I can't really suggest and recommend things to you because we have to dissect what's happening on the personality level. Because like when you see that free will is an illusion, and that's freeing for the person, that's great. Like an idea of the person, it's like the Ramana Maharshi talks about, you take a thorn to take out another thorn. But the thing is that realization then becomes something for the person, and then the person owns it again, and then it becomes something to settle you down every time you feel anxiety, you feel nervousness, and that's okay. But then it's just seeing that that's happening, just noticing that that's happening, that becomes a new thing, and then it's like everything. Like, so say for example, like after I hit my head, I couldn't do anything, and I really got into colouring, and I didn't know how pleasurable colouring was and how much I would enjoy colouring. Yeah, like I'm 41 years old, and I didn't know that how much I loved colouring. And so I began colouring, and I really love it. And my partner, for my birthday, which was yesterday, he bought me this like poster that you can colour in, and then you frame it and you put it on the wall. And he bought me these things that we could like utilize it and make it into pictures for the house. And to me, I couldn't care less about making the colorings into something. Like I just have a book and I color it in, and once I'm finished, like what I actually enjoy is the feeling of the felt tip on the paper, and then seeing the colors come out, and then putting the colors together. And I don't really care too much about completion, even though it's really nice to complete them and then look at them. But I don't really care. It's more the activity of doing it, and it's really, really enjoyable. And I listen to my audiobook while I'm doing it, and it's just heaven. I find that really pleasurable. And if I then decided, so if I was a kid and I got into colouring, like maybe my parents would then decide, oh, this is really good for you to go into as a career. And then they would start pushing it, and then suddenly it becomes, the parents start judging it on how good or how bad it is. And then the parents start showing people it. And then suddenly the colouring becomes something more. It becomes about the identity. And then when you stand up in class, like you have to tell everyone like what I love is colouring, and I want to be a colourer when I'm older. And it becomes something. So with me, with the colouring in, like there's no way I could ever be a professional colourer. I have just doing it because I enjoy it, and there's nothing that can come of it except the posters now, which my partner's bought for the wall. But apart from that, I'm just doing it because I'm enjoying doing it in the moment. But as a child, it's always about future, and it's always about what you're going to become and what you're going to achieve and when you're going to get. And this is what our mind is always doing, because this is what we've been taught by our seniors, by the elders. They have said everything you do must be utilized and put into profit. And that is, like we do things because of survival, but it's not quite like that. So say with dogs, like they play a lot, and obviously their play is based around killing. So they're playing, and if you notice, they're always trying to get each other down by the neck, and that's really like they're enacting and they're playing and practicing for the future. But they don't really have a sense of that. They just have the instinctual desire to do it, and it's just as it is in the moment, and it's not being watched, and it's not being categorized, and it's not being graded. They're just having the instinct to play. And that's what we do as well. But then eventually it becomes this heavy thing. So I'm sure instinctually, like the colouring in is training my brain in a particular way, which is helpful for society. But it's like a really innocent game that's going nowhere. But what we do in humanity is we're always putting it into a timeline of what you are going to become. Whereas it's got nothing to do with you, it's just a happening. And it's the same with when you learn non-duality. The person is always putting it onto itself, what it's going to become, how free it's going to become. And it uses these concepts to grow itself. Like you becoming enlightened. It's actually, you're becoming this moment. Who is becoming enlightened? There is just this moment, and it's like doing everything freely without this added on stress of the person that's got to become something. I can't say I have that in every situation, because there are ties in society that you have to do. Like I really enjoy these talks, and I think I would do them regardless of being paid for it or not. Well, I don't get paid for these talks. But I really enjoy the act of speaking about it. It just comes out and it feels like love. When it comes to one-to-one sessions, I don't think I would be so eager to do them without a payment back, because they do, like I really love them, but they're hard work. You know, by the end of the day of doing sessions, I feel like, you know, it's like I've worked. It feels like, if you put it in another context, like it feels like you know, I've been out farming or something, to say, if we just put it in another context. So like farmed lots of vegetables, and it's the same with the vegetables. I don't know if the man would grow all the vegetables if there was no one, you know, if he didn't consume them himself, or he didn't sell them, or the woman, whoever it is. That was very sexist of me, the person who did it. When I'm just talking pure non-duality, though, it's like colouring in, and it is like that with one-to-one sessions, but it's intense. Like I go through an intense journey with someone sometimes, like riding my bike uphill, but it's super beautiful and I love it. But if there wasn't energy back for that, which we now currently call money, I'm not sure that so many would be done. Maybe I would do like a few a week, maybe like one a day or something, but like, or one every other day, or maybe one a day, but that's it. But yeah. And the same with like doing my paperwork for the business. Like, if it wasn't that the tax office was insistent that I did that, I wouldn't do it. It wouldn't do that one. So there is, like, we do have to do things at times, and also at times we also do things, you know, like I create 100 vegetables on the condition that I give 50 vegetables to you and you give me a bag of rice or something. So we do things for swaps. So with the sessions, it's like I do this intense work with you, but then it's a swap for money, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's how our society works. Yeah, and there is beauty in that as well. Like this, like when I'm doing the sessions, I feel really present, and if I was a vegetable grower, then I would be really present to that and really enjoy it. But I don't know if I would grow so many vegetables if no one was going to pay for them. or if I wasn't expected something else back at the time. It could be a hobby. And so we do that, but it's like a different thing to this, like the free will of what you're doing with the free will. It becomes a personality thing. It becomes something for you. And then you become identified with it. Like this idea needs to give you freedom. This idea becomes a defense from getting out of doing the washing up or going to work, which I see often. I often see people that are avoidant get into non-duality and use non-duality to stay avoidant. I'm sure I've done it. I have a tendency to being avoidant and to being the opposite as well, like to hold on to things, but more, no, the holding on to things is not so much, but more if I'm going to have a defense, it will be to avoid something. So if I have a fight with a neighbor, it'll be to avoid them. Like the other day, I put the box in the bin, and it was like quite a flat box, and I didn't fully break it up. And then I saw, when I came back, I saw my neighbor breaking it up, who had seen me put it into the bin, and I crept past them, quickly opened my front door, and disappeared inside, and was like, that's like tendency to be avoid. Whereas somebody that's the opposite would be like going up and apologizing and making sure everything's good and like over talking and being over friendly. Mine would not be that tendency. I can be like that, but less. So, and I meet people that get into this subject and they're very avoidant, and then they use it to become more avoidant. And then it's all about you. It becomes about you. It becomes another weight that you add on to yourself. You become heavy with yourself. You, heavy with your new concepts of non-duality. And the whole time that's happening, who is experiencing now? Who's speaking? Who's looking out the eyes? Who's writing? Who's reading? Who does anything? We have a story of what the character does, the character's tendency, what the body does. But that's not the experiencer. That is an experience appearing in this. The experiencer is everything or nothing. They both equal the same. And that's love. Love, love, love. And so you also say you feel stuck and bored. So I would look at the solar plexus. So stuckness and boredom comes from the solar plexus chakra. So in the positive, the solar plexus is feeling like you can do something, feeling empowered. This isn't against non-duality. This is like the human character impulses. Feeling like you can do something, empowered, like everything's going to work, feeling strong, feeling steady, feeling inspired. And then its negative is stuckness, boredom, feeling like you can't do things, feeling like nothing will work out, depression, anger, and frustration. And you can find stuff on my reference page on my website about chakras, and you can investigate that more. But that's on the character level. The real freedom is who is looking at that. But when you're identified with the character, then the character is going to digest that information into itself. So it's going to pull in the idea of I can't do anything and put it right into the solar plexus. I can't do anything, and the solar plexus says, yeah, I'm stuck. I can't do anything. This is hopeless. And really that's got nothing to do with non-duality. That's got to do with your solar plexus acting up. And then there's a belief that that's true. And who is watching that? Who is experiencing? Who are you? Who let their dogs out? What's looking now? What's hearing now? What's speaking now? Where does it come from? It all comes from this moment. This moment. This incredible, juicy, beautiful, luscious moment. And this no thing is no thing and everything. And there's nobody that's ever suffered. There is no solid person that's ever suffered. There is a story of someone that has, and that story isn't truth. That story is just something that's appearing and then it disappears. And this is what is. This is your freedom. Thank you, Hassan.